These are the nights that we all dream about. Either it's a pleasant dream or it's a nightmare. But it's some sort of dream and some sort of nightmare tonight. Welcome to the SFL Postgame Show after a dramatic, high-octane, high-scoring night in the Simulation Football League. Baltimore beats Dallas 36-30 with a combined 35 points scored in the fourth quarter. Minneapolis beats Orlando 38-31. And both of those teams join Los Angeles at 4-4 in the Teal. And Cleveland wins their second game in a row, outlasting NYC in double overtime, 41-35. And the bottom of the Great Conference is now NYC 3-5, Queen City and DC 2-5, and Carolina and Cleveland 2-6. One of those teams is getting into the playoffs. Which one will it be? Open line now, 210-473-8428. Call in with your reactions if you were in action tonight, if you were catching out a game live for the first time. And later in the show, if we have some time, if you just want to talk about how bonkers this night has been, we can do that too. Baltimore moves to 5-3, second place in the gray, puts Dallas in third. 717 here on the SFL Postgame Show.
Hello.
Who do I have?
Michael Asai.
Mike, congrats. You got in the end zone and your team got a victory tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know that Baltimore's offense hasn't necessarily been as lethal as you may have wanted it. You had a good game against L.A. Where you put up 35, a good game against Minneapolis where you put up 27. Coincidentally, those were your other two games with touchdowns. But finally got things moving there in that fourth quarter especially. What do you think clicked there?
Well, our defense did a really nice job. They stepped up and they set us up and they put us in some really good situations. Also, Wayne had a pretty good kick return, so that set us up nicely. We were really set nicely by our two phases of the game, so that put us in good position to put up some points.
Yeah, Wayne Inzer can go unnoticed. You know, he's the slot man on this team. He's fourth on the team. He's only got 17 catches coming in 7 games. Has not scored a receiving touchdown, but every game that I see Wayne Inzer in action, he had 4 catches for 43 yards, caught all 4 of his targets tonight. Every game that I see Wayne Inzer in, he just makes plays. Baltimore just has so many people that just make plays. And what's it like being on the practice field with Wayne throughout the week, and what type of player is he to you?
Hard worker, hard worker. Being a slot guy, you're going to get hit a lot. You're going to get hit by linebackers, but he just shows up to practice every day with that workman's-like mentality. So when game day rolls around, he's already always willing to put up a fight and always willing to do what he has to do to help us out and help our offense be successful and also our kick game be successful.
Well, at 1-3, I think the message was Tim Johnston, the owner, just continued to preach to you guys, we're going to be all right. We're going to be fine. We're going to get out of this. We're going to start winning some close games. And before you know it, we're going to be where you expected us to be. And lo and behold, here you are, second place in the conference.
And that's what we really had to work for. Those first 5 games were tough. So we're excited to continue what we have going on right now in the playoffs and get a little reshot some of those teams that we got beat by earlier on. We're excited about what we're doing, and we're ready to come back stronger than ever.
Yeah, I bet you really want to see Louisville in the playoffs, don't you?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Kind of knock off a top team, but we're just taking it week by week, and we're ready to keep working at it. We'll get our shot when we have our chance, but for now, we're just on to the next one.
Oh, come on, Mike. I mean, it's Louisville. They're killing everybody. Who doesn't want to kick their butt right now?
We'll get there eventually, but we got to earn our way to that.
um, it was scoreless in the first half. It seemed like Dallas did a pretty good job on Elliott Snyder. He just continued to plug away. But you know Dallas's defense, and you know how they make their how they bring home the bacon, so to speak. And Ed Rebrabi goes down with that arm injury, and it seemed like that was just the way Dallas's fourth quarter went. How tough was it out there in the trenches? I saw you stayed outside quite a bit. You didn't want any part of that, I don't think.
I got corners, so those big guys can do what the big guys do. That they have to just keep playing. They have to keep grinding away. And eventually, things open up at the end there. So that's what our line's going to do. They're going to keep grinding. They know it's going to be a tough battle all night. So as long as they just break through at the end and they just wear teams down, we're going to be all right. We might not have it all the way through first to fourth quarter, but if we can just outcondition other teams' front seven, then I'll be proud of the line. I'm proud of how they showed up tonight. I'm proud of how LA kept running, and I'll stay blocking corners. I don't want any further.
It probably felt pretty good, too, to get the better of Carlo Montero. He sort of had your number through the first few quarters, and then you finally found a lane there on a 38-yard touchdown pass. Coach just stayed with it. Did you feel like eventually it was going to work for you?
He's a great player. He's pretty good. He was good at covering, and sometimes you're not going to win every battle, but when you do, you just have to make sure it's in those big moments. So that was a great feeling, being able to slip past the zone in the secondary, make a big catch. So just keep working at it, score, and whenever you get your chance, when your number's called, just have to step up sometimes. So that was a pretty good feeling getting the TV.
Two-part question for you. Less than a week away from the State of the League address. What are you most looking forward to hearing in that address?
What's going to be new? The league's going to keep on adding. How just hearing about this season, we had so much like new stuff, and it really helped the league out. And it's like really cool watching it grow from how when I first started and what it's turning into. So just hearing what's going to be going on next couple.
We are going to be adding some new features. Give me one. Give me a guess.
Tough one. Let's see. End zone cam.
What is that?
You got me beat. I have no idea.
What was your guess, though? Don't shy away from your guess.
I said end zone cam, but I have no clue.
Oh, end zone cam. Well, okay. Hey, that's a good guess. And we'll find out Monday night. Mike Osai, receiver of the Baltimore Crabs. Thanks, bud, and congrats on the victory.
Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Open line, 210-473-8428. Call in and share your thoughts. How about Cleveland tonight? They win their second game in a row. Now, think about this team. They were 2-4 when they made their turnaround last year. They were 0-6. They've now won 2 games in a row. They're now 2-6. And with NYC's loss, they are a game out of the playoff picture. Ronnie Nickens is on the call with us. Good evening, Ronnie.
Hey, good evening, Cam.
Did you have enough coffee to get yourself through that game?
Well, unfortunately for me tonight, I saw the touchdown. They gave the other team the lead.
Right.
And then I got to see the 8 seconds left.
Wow.
And we scored.
Wow.
and then I got to see all the overtime.
Right. Hey, owner duties come in all shapes and sizes, and sometimes you don't always get to catch all the action every second, at least anyway. But, I mean, you win in double overtime, and you now won 2 in a row. Regardless of how it's getting done, and regardless of whatever pitfalls you have, you've won 2 in a row, and you're a game out of the playoffs. So, I mean, that from where everything was a couple of weeks ago, that's got to be unreal to you.
Yeah, hats off to my coordinators. they seem to have turned everything around. So there's a chance. Whether we make it, I don't know, but I'm proud of them sticking in there and making us part of this. Who's gonna make it and who won't? We will have something to say about it.
Scott King is slowly becoming, and with his numbers this week, could become the league's top receiver finally. And his numbers have been off the charts in the last few weeks, which has been a big part of Cleveland's turnaround. 16 catches for 324 yards and 3 touchdowns on 24 targets tonight. That's why you pay him the big gold bucks, right?
You got that right, Cam. That is exactly why we pay him. I'm just so glad to see that they put in a plan to really get him to do his job.
By the way, do you that is a new season record for individual receiving yards in a game. Do you know who held that record coming into the game?
No, I really don't.
It was Scott King 9 days ago. He's had back-to-back performances that are some of the best, honestly, in league history. Looking back at the record books, 2 seasons ago, we had no receiver with a 300-yard game. Last season, we had one time that happened, and that was DR Sim, I believe, and I'm trying to get those records. DR Sim against Oklahoma City in that wild 62-59 highest scoring game in league history, 377 yards in that game. And in back-to-back weeks, Scott King is obliterating opponents with a 340. Get my numbers back. 324, yard performance tonight. He's just tearing up the record books right now.
Yeah, Scott is doing what I knew he could do, and as I said, it's good to see that we are finally getting our goal threat to be a threat, and that's good to see.
Someone in the chat mentioned the first ballot Hall of Famer for Scott King. He's been in the league 7 years. When the Hall of Fame is inevitably established in the SFL, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer for you in your mind?
In my mind, he is. I know he had talked to me earlier in this year about retiring, so we don't know if it'll be this year or next. But he does have retirement on his mind.
So you've got Carolina next week. It's a huge game. 2-6 versus 2-6. It's likely not an eliminator from the playoffs because it would appear that 5-7 may be good enough to sneak in. But it obviously is a huge game. I will be on the call of that game, and that game comes on a short week for Cleveland with just a few days to prepare for the Skyhawks and then to go on the road to Carolina after playing a double overtime game here this evening. That's a tough task, but this has got to be sort of the defining moment for the season and for this organization, right?
Oh, it definitely is, and these players they're very pumped right now, and the small amount of time that they have to prepare right now fits them fine because they are ready to play again. They're in that mode, so we know our coordinators got to get them together and get them prepared, but they're looking forward to the challenge.
Your last 3 games, Louisville, Baltimore, Dallas, the top 3 teams in the conference, and 2 of them are on the road. Would you say that Carolina is a must-win?
well, for me, Cam, I think every game is a must-win.
There you go.
So I mean, it's nothing new for me. I I think every game is a must-win. So there you have it.
Ronnie Nickens, owner of the Cleveland Vipers, winner of 2 straight. Ronnie, thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Ronnie Nickens, a good guy, and hopefully we'll be here from Stevie T. Diggs, the offensive coordinator, and Mario Savage, the defensive coordinator, at some point this season on the SFL postgame show, because they're doing a pretty good job of turning things around. A look at and further diagnosis of Scott King here. He came into the night with 892 yards receiving, or came into the week. His 234 will give him 1,026 receiving yards. Actually 1,016 receiving yards, which would be 20 behind Jordan Jennings, or 20 ahead of Jordan Jennings. Jennings plays OKC tomorrow night, so we'll get a look at the league's current number 1 receiver as he tries to keep Scott King desperately in his rearview mirror, as King will likely hurdle potentially Nick T. Quick for that number 2 spot in the offensive leaders for Cleveland. Open line 210-473-8428. We want to hear from everyone around the league, especially if you have never called into the SFL postgame show. Why not? It's a lot of fun. Let's talk Minneapolis-Orlando for a moment. The Intimidators lose a game in which Zach Parker rushed for 200 yards and 200 plus yards. And just one second. And he had a great game, but Orlando comes up short in the loss. The Teal Conference, the most competitive race in the Gray Conference will be obviously Dallas and Baltimore going neck and neck, fighting for field position, and fighting off any team that gets hot late at the end that could try to take over the third or second spot. But in the Teal Conference, it's a bit more interesting. Obviously, Sioux Falls and Santa Fe are at the top, but now you've got Orlando, LA, and Minneapolis all 4-4. Tallahassee is 3-5. Houston, again at 2-6, is still just 2 games out of a playoff spot with 4 to go. And Oklahoma City is 3-4. Potentially could get to 4-4 with an upset over Sioux Falls, or even if they fall to 3-5, they're just 1 game out of the playoffs. Houston sitting at 2-6. Their last 4 games against Orlando, a 4-4 team. They need that tiebreaker. Sioux Falls, Oklahoma City, a team that's hovering around 500, and Minneapolis, a team that's hovering around 500. So certainly Houston has the ability to win some tiebreakers and get back into the thick of things, as does every team in the Teal, as basically in the Gray, it's a 1, 2, 3, and everyone at the bottom. And then it's in the Teal, it's a 1-2, and 6 teams fighting for 2 spots. But it's just a sensational playoff race we're heading down. And I'm shocked at the lack of calls tonight. I want to get reaction from people. And we'll open the lineup now to anyone who just wants to chime in on one of the most exciting nights in SFL history. And I'm surprised we have not gotten any call-ins from around the league of teams that were in action tonight. Mateo Maximo's voice is shot, and he wanted to call in but can't. Looking ahead to tomorrow, obviously OKC, and if they can position themselves in a 4-way tie for third or not, will be an interesting storyline tomorrow. And then for DC and Queen City, the winner of that game will be tied with NYC for the 4th and final playoff spot in the conference. So that's a big game, too, between former heated rivals. Is Queen City going to be wearing those New York Knight throwbacks in that game against the Dragons? But just a lot of sensational games down the stretch. And give us just a second here. Wow. Just someone was asking for the call-in number, and I almost every number was wrong that I gave him. Um, More people weighing in on the Scott King conversation. 717, you're on the SFL postgame show.
Hey, you got Doug Bose.
Doug, you mentioned in the chat that this is probably one of your favorite nights of SFL action that you've ever been a part of, and it's only going to make the playoff race that much crazy, that much more crazy.
What an insane fun night, I'll tell you what. The SFL is so good, we just want to give you more. Double overtime. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
I had Stevie T. Diggs on my phone on that one too. He would not leave me alone.
Yeah, that man needs to call in. We need to give some props to him for some back-to-back wins there.
There you go. I told him to call in, and he's like, all these other guys got excuses. They can't call in.
Well,
call in.
I mean, next week, as we sort of look at it and branch off of it, the Maulers take on the Renegades as we shift to the Teal Conference just a bit. The Maulers take on the Renegades. That's a monstrous game in that mix-up within the conference. You obviously host Santa Fe. That's the toughest task. Tallahassee is at Sioux Falls. Actually, that may be the toughest task since Tallahassee has to go on the road. And Orlando's got Houston, and Houston needs that game. I don't think 5 and 7 is going to get you in the playoffs in the Teal Conference, and this is probably an elimination game from Houston. So week 9, right? Pretty nuts.
Yeah, I think everybody in the running, it's basically do or die. You must win the rest of the way because you can't afford to get tripped up anywhere. And right now I'm just focused on Santa Fe because it's going to be fun. Kudos to Mr. Colin Northrup getting both the offensive and defensive jobs in Santa Fe. As everyone should know, he was with L.A. just before the season started. He went to Santa Fe, so it's going to be good going against him. So that's going to be a fun game. Colin, I'm coming for you, buddy. But I'm kind of quaking because they're doing a hell of a job over there.
Yeah, good point also by Jason in the chat. That's Jordan Jennings going back to facing his former team in Tallahassee when the Pride come to town. So a lot of interesting games, obviously with Colin Douglas, and also in Week 9, Johnny English taking on Cleveland.
There you go.
The former Dallas Star player and Cleveland Viper back in the day.
And that game also has an interesting thing as well. You got Mr. Scott King loading up and firing people and destroying people, and he gets to take on the double gold corners.
Yeah. Can Carolina stop over the last few weeks one of the most prolific wide receivers, or one of the best sort of 3 or 4 game stretches of a wide receiver maybe of all time?
Since I've been around, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, they just won't stop throwing to him because eventually he's going to make a play. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I plan to be on Inside the SFL with you on Sunday morning to discuss some State of the League address business. I'm not going to give anything away, obviously, but I got to get the hype train going because this is going to be a new day in the SFL, and I'm hyped.
Yeah, Inside the SFL this Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and you just heard it. The boss will be with us. Don't know where Alan is this evening, but I'm sure he'll be with us as his slate has gotten a lot less full this week. So I'm sure he's plotting all kinds of goodies for the show. And after tomorrow's game, I might as well let everybody know now. Make sure you send in those power rankings, and let's get as many votes in as we can this week because I think all hell's broken loose, and these rankings are going to shake up even more as we've ever seen.
All right, Doug. Well, thanks for the call, and good luck to your Sharks on Sunday. And good luck to everybody in both conferences, man. Whew, I wouldn't want to be a part of those races.
And someone else call in.
Thanks, Doug. All right, open line. We'll take one more caller, 473-8428. I do believe that Deshaun Miller was trying to call in for Baltimore. His teammate, Eddie Gage, had a great night. And he had a couple of picks, running down some final numbers from this game. Dazzo had 8 tackles, Matthew Reese 10 for the Crabs. It was Secord with 10, LaShaw with 11, Malone with 13 in the absence of Ed Rebrabi. 513, you're on the SFL postgame show.
Hey, Cam, how's it going?
It's going good. Do I got Reese?
No, you got Andy Hamilton.
Oh, okay, Andy Hamilton. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna have another caller here tonight. Yeah, I just got finished doing the Orlando Mahler game, and you were probably thinking after your game was over, all right, I had the best game of the night. Maybe not.
At some point I said I don't know what I did, but I keep getting the good games.
Right. Right.
And then I'm looking in the chat, and Cleveland's taking it to the house on the final play of regulation. Can you believe that?
I know, it was crazy. I mean, and I gotta ask you about Carolina playing Cleveland next week and playing Scott King and being up to that challenge. And obviously, we didn't hear from Skyhawks after whatever that was against 347. By the way, call in here just after we get off the line with Andy. But I don't think I'm not sure anyone knows what that was, but you've got a game against Cleveland that both teams would probably consider as a game that has to be won.
Sure. We've said going in here, all of the games that we have remaining, the last 4, look to us to be must-wins. And thanks to Cleveland, I'll give them a little bit of thanks for the win over New York that they had tonight. That helps a little bit, so I'll take that. The one thing I really wanted to call in and ask, I asked in the chat, and I don't think anyone gave me a fair answer here. So I'll ask you, the man who has the answer. What exactly is the second qualifier behind overall record in the playoff race?
It's head-to-head. Now, obviously, the way that the schedule is formatted this year, and it was done on purpose, is that you only play one team twice. So the only reason why point differential would come into play is if you were tied with the team you played twice and you split. Otherwise,
sure,
it's all about the tiebreakers. So over the next couple of weeks, you've got Cleveland, you've got Queen City. You get the same record at the end of the season as those teams, and you get victories, then you've got the extra spot. So the head-to-head this season in particular is absolutely crucial.
Sure. I was just looking at it, which is why I was asking. I was actually making cards here on my desk to keep track of it a little closer. If Queen City can go ahead and beat DC tomorrow, that would be a little helpful. And then if we can get over Cleveland and New York will fall to Louisville, and then Queen City could lose to Dallas, that would put Carolina into that 4th spot as of early as next week. So I'm not looking ahead of that. I'll say that I'd like to get that spot there and then just run with it from there.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina is definitely going to need some tiebreakers to fall their way because both of your wins came in conference. You've got a 0-4 conference record. You've got to eventually get over that. And with Dallas and Louisville as the last 2 games, this is big. This is important, and that's why Cleveland and Carolina is the spotlight on Sunday because this game means everything.
Sure, and if D.C., New York, Cleveland, and Queen City would just keep losing, it would be a whole lot easier for the rest of us.
Well, there you go. Lots of great conference maneuvering. But seriously, though, whoever gets out of it is probably in the 4th spot, and you got to go up against Louisville again. Do you really want to play them for a 3rd time?
Well, I tell you what, if it means being in the playoffs, I'll play them a 4th time if that's what it takes. We'll be at home, so we'll have the crowd behind us, and hopefully we'll be coming off a 3-game win streak heading into that game. So I think it'll be a different game. We'll definitely look at it differently. We've already been reviewing the film from the first slaughter, I guess you would call it. And so we're going to put our best foot forward this week in Cleveland and start the playoff push now.
Andy Hamilton, play-by-play commentator for the Simulation Football League and defensive coordinator for Carolina. Hope you had fun in the rain. I hope you stayed dry out there. I had beautiful weather tonight.
Hey, my press box was dry. I was all right.
That's what I always say to people in the stands. I enjoyed myself. I was in the press box. Andy Hamilton, thanks so much.
No problem.
All right, we're reserving the last call of the night for Deshaun Miller. His thumbs aren't as fast as some other people, and we wanna get him on the call and give him some props on the victory before we call it a night. Once again, wrapping up the final scores, Baltimore beats Dallas 36-30 to improve to 5-3. They've won 4 in a row now, second place in the conference, and now have a 2-game lead on the NYC Sailors in the division, with the game against the Sailors coming up next week to potentially own that tiebreaker, and Baltimore could theoretically maybe get very close to locking up the division. Deshaun, do we got you?
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, you got to work on your thumbs, man. You got to get the phone number going faster.
Yeah, I do agree. You know, I was a little bit late on that.
That's all right, man. Congratulations, first of all, what has been a successful, at the end result, I guess we have 4 games to go, but a successful mid-part of the season for the Crabs, winning the last 4 games.
Yes, this has been really good. You know, the first half of the schedule was really tough on us, and, you know, we just stuck to it, kept our heads up, and, you know, we motivated ourselves to, you know, pretty much keep it going, keep winning, you know, take every game, you know, one step at a time, 1 week at a time, and eventually, you know, it showed out.
Is this I can't remember, because you may have called in earlier this year. Is this your first call in?
Actually, it is.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the Postgame show. Since this is your first time here, why don't you let everyone know a little about yourself and how you found out about the SFL?
Well, you know, my name is Deshaun Miller. I play for the Baltimore Crabs. I'm the free safety. Pretty much, I watched your interview with Brian Mazik, and I was actually subscribed to him. So when I saw the interview with the SFL, I was like, this looks pretty interesting. You know, let me take a look at it. And after watching the video, you know, I went to the website. I was really excited. So I ran to the website immediately, and I signed up. And I have a couple of other friends in the league as well. 2 of them play for the DC Dragons, and the other one plays for Santa Fe Gorillas.
Okay, why don't you give them a shout out right now?
Yeah, DC Dragons, they're free safety, Marshall Mather, or Mathayu, I should say, and their wide receiver, P.T. Peters, and also Santa Fe Gorillas, their tight end, Chris Morales. Those are the 3 friends that I had come with me.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
You had a great first half of the season, and you actually got a bonus from your team, didn't you?
Yeah, I did actually. It was a pretty good bonus.
That's awesome. What's it been like saying I'm a Crab?
It was really amazing. You know, my owner Tim, he pretty much you know, contacted me, and he showed me just great respect, and I just knew from the first conversation we had that I wanted to play for the Crabs. And, you know, as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, now I gotta ask you a question. I gotta test you. Do you know that the State of the League address is on Monday?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
do you know that the State of the League address is on Monday?
I did not know that.
Now, see? Why? How do people not know this already? The State of the League address is on Monday. Huge announcements coming with lots of...
Oh, wait a minute. I think I do know this. It comes on 9 Eastern, am I correct?
7 Eastern.
7 Eastern. Ooh, see, I would have definitely missed it.
well, it's good that you're on the call because you get solid information here.
I agree.
What as a newcomer, as a player in the SFL, and as a player that has had a successful start, and I give you a stat line right here from tonight. Bit of a quiet night for you tonight, which was very unusual.
Yeah,
just two
really
assisted tackles tonight. They went away from you. They didn't want anything to do with you tonight. But as a new player in the SFL, and as sort of a newcomer to the SFL, what excites you about the future, and what would you like to see? What would you like to see out of the league coming down the line?
Most definitely, I would like to see more teams, more players getting active, and I would actually like to see longer games. These games are very exciting for me, so I would like to see much longer games. I can actually get into it and sit down. I mean, I'm already into it as it is because we've had a lot of close counter games. So, longer games I would love to see. Love to see more active players. I'm currently working on more friends and family members to currently join the league as we speak, and I'm very excited for the future.
Yeah, there probably has not been a much more exciting season, sans maybe Los Angeles, than Baltimore's this year with all the close games.
Yeah, it's when I joined, I was a little bit skeptical. Wasn't too sure how it was going to be. Actually watching a video game rather than playing it myself. But
right.
So far I've loved it. I know in the future I'm going to love it, and this SFL will continue to have my support. It showed me a lot. It showed me how fun just watching yourself as a player, as a team, if you was a coordinator or coach, just how excited it is to, watch your team do so well.
I gotta figure out how to get rid of the skepticism from our idea, but I think it's only natural because people just don't expect it to be as fun as it is.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I first joined and I saw you can create your own player and accessories and everything like that. That part right there had me excited. But my friends on the other hand, they're like, I don't know how this is gonna go. We've never sat there and actually watched ourselves play. It's pretty much like watching the AI play the game. So we as being hardcore gamers, something new to us. But we've all enjoyed it. I've watched every single game so far, and it's never been a game where I haven't been excited or pretty much yelling at the top of my lungs in my own house.
That's awesome, Deshaun. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you at least had a voice tonight since Maximo lost his in that double overtime game against Cleveland. Thanks so much for calling in.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All righty, that concludes the SFL post-game show tonight. I'm your play-by-play commentator and SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine. Tomorrow night, Sioux Falls and Oklahoma City along with D.C. and Queen City. Sunday, we got another slate of action, and then Monday, it's the State of the League address, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. Don't miss out on the rest of the SFL action in 2016. It's going to be just as exciting, maybe even more, than tonight. 36-30, the final on the main network. Baltimore beats Dallas. Good night, everybody.